reading How to Ride a Dragon Storm, and we're on chapter 8. But just before chapter 8 starts, there's one of those learning to speak Dragonese pages, which is called Toothless Wants a Pet. Nea, Toothless, ta no ava an sweetie ickle toot skipper pa and fluff squeeze. No, Toothless, you cannot have a dear little rat for a pet. Pask, me papa not like it, because my dad won't be pleased. Na and moonhawk howler, and death scuttler, but plus doubly na and fangbuggle, limb scruncher, not a wolf or a scorpion, and definitely not a shark. Well, this is Toothless replying. He says, yow is a snake nipper, yow fatter plus yow skis blood is conjured a sniffer sludge. Sniffer sludge, I like that one. You are a very mean master and your heart is made out of bogies. That's what sniffer sludge means. Now, when Toothless is in a mood, he puffs out such black smoke that you can hardly see him. There he is in a big mood, because Hiccup won't let him have a dear little rat for a pet. I don't think Sturt would be pleased. Anyway, we're back on The American Dream 2, and chapter 8 is called The Slave Mark. Hiccup was right. The ship was carrying slaves. Hiccup asked Red Ronald about it the next morning, and Ronald said there was 119 slaves being kept in the hold, all of them northern wanderers. Wanderers were very fierce and wild, and they detested Vikings. It made Hiccup shiver to hear the noise of their cursing, floating up out of a heavily barred hatch in the centre of the back deck all day and all night. 2 days passed. Each morning Hiccup would read the ticking thing for Norbert in his cabin, and then the three young heroes spent the rest of the time dreaming of escape as the ship chugged steadily north and the weather grew colder and colder. There is no more exciting place for the lively young dragon than a ship in full sail. The two little dragons were now having a lovely time flying through the rigging, getting tangled up in the ropes, sliding down the sails, trying to nick things from the cooking cabin without getting caught by the cook, dashing after mice in the holds, chewing the arms off Norbert's shirts and the bottoms out of his shoes, or, in the Stormfly's case, flirting with the hunting dragons who were lined up very dignified on the masthead. But both dragons avoided the slave hatch. Every time Toothless passed it, his hackles rose and he hissed with fear and alarm. The three young heroes had had time to think, and so they were now quite optimistic about their chances of escaping. It was just a question of agreeing on a plan. "OK," said Kamikaze breezily, "I've thought of several ways to escape. I might dress up as a hysteric and trick one of those idiot guards into launching one of those little landing boats by saying we'd hit an iceberg." "That hysteric guard isn't going to think you're another hysteric," scoffed Fishlegs. "However stupid they are, they're not actually blind. You're only 4 foot tall, Kamikaze. You're blonde, you're female, you have no facial hair." "Aha!" said Kamikaze, laying a finger against her nose and looking very cunning. "But if I wear a very long coat and stand on your shoulders, and I'll stick one of Norbert's bearskin knee pads onto my chin as a beard. There's no way in a million years that is going to work," so argued Fishlegs. "OK, so what's your idea then, Mr. Clever Clogs?" Fishlegs said Kamikaze crossly. "That's very true. Yeah, if you're going to criticise, you should have an idea yourself. I'm telling you, I've escaped from more ugly dungeons and murderous cage mages than you've had hot dinners." Meanwhile, in the background, Norbert was watching the crew feeding the wanderer slaves by opening up the slave hatch and throwing food down below. "Not too much of that bread," Norbert roared greedily. "They're refusing to row, and slaves that are on strike should not be fed." Unbeknownst to Norbert, Toothless was showing off his excellent hunting skills to Stormfly. He had been chasing a fly through the rigging for the past 5 minutes. He was now hovering about a metre above Norbert's head, only his wings and his narrowed eyes moving as he watched the fly. "Bzz, bzz, bzz, bzz," buzzed the fly, zigzagging drunkenly around Norbert's head. Toothless crept ever so softly down in the air as his muscles poised, ready to pounce. The fly made a few more aimless buzzes and settled on the end of one of Norbert's sticking up hairs. With the smothered yowl of a kung fu kitten, Toothless launched himself, claws out, onto Norbert's head. Norbert was not a relaxed personality. In fact, you could describe him as tightly wound. So his reaction when a dragon suddenly landed unexpectedly on his head was to shriek like a fire engine and spring into the air as if stung by a bee. One of his flailing arms pushed over one of the hysteric crew members, who then cannoned into Hiccup, and Hiccup slid over, plunging down into the hatch, just managing to grab hold of the edge of the hatch as he fell, so he was still hanging on by one hand until, with a cry of "Hiccup!" and Toothless still attached to his head, Norbert blundered forward to try and help, and in the process trod heavily on Hiccup's clinging fingers, so that Hiccup let go and fell down into the hatch. The hatch the bear cub's grandmother had only the day before been warning that no Viking should fall down, or else. Down that very same hatch Hiccup fell, the door slanging shut behind him. There was a short silence, and then pandemonium broke up. There he is, falling down the hatch. I'll have to have the rest of the chapter